Hi. So I have a couple updates on my mom, but I thought that I would share a couple of lessons or things that I observed about myself. Mother's Day, the day that the bird flew out with me to go get food. So let me just say this. Let me real quick do the scenario. My mom called me on the radio that she had to get on the commode. She was up in bed that day, not having the best Parkinson's day, not having the best knee day. So she wasn't, her knee was giving out on her and she couldn't really walk so that she could sit down on the wheelie walker thing so I could get her to the stair lift. So she was in bed and she was a little bit salty about that, which I totally understand. Anyway, she called me for the 100 millionth time that day, so I had to run up all the stairs, and she wanted to get on the commode. And I said, Mom, our food is coming in a few minutes. Can you wait just a few minutes until the food comes? Now, this restaurant that I order from gives you updates on your order. And so I knew that the guy was in the car on the way. And no, she had to be on the commode. And, and I said, just wait a few minutes. Now she has a diaper on and a waterproof pad underneath her. She pees in the diaper all the time. There was no reason why she couldn't just wait, but no. So, she had to get up. So when she got up, she got stuck. She couldn't move, and so, not only does she pee all over herself, but she pees on the waterproof rug that I have down there. She can't move. The doorbell's ringing. I'm like, see? She's like, I'm more important. The commode is, more important. But she peed on herself, and so I was so mad that, and the bird was on the walker, sitting on the walker. And so I was just so mad. And the doorbell is ringing, and I'm thinking, and you have to sign for it. And so, I'm thinking, we already had an argument about my cooking on Mother's Day. I'm like, I'm not cooking on Mother's Day. So what do you want to eat? And so we already weren't, really, she was pissed off. I wasn't, I'm like, I'm not cooking, I'm not cooking. I cleaned, I did laundry. I'm not cooking too. It's Mother's Day. So, in the rage, I mean, literally I was just all in my head and so mad that I really didn't, or I did, but I was so in my head and so within that anger and in such a hurry to get out that door. By the time I realized and I had felt that the bird was on my back, I was in motion to the point where I couldn't stop. And so when I got outside and the bird, when I got to the step and I realized, oh my God, the bird. And as I turned around to get back in the door, the bird saw the guy, and the bird is not good with strangers, And so the bird took off and I heard him, and I was like, oh my God. So I signed real quick, grabbed the food, went upstairs, stuck my mom back in the bed, and went out to look for the bird. And I found the bird in a tree 2 blocks up and, right off an alley. And so I stood there in the cold and the rain trying to get this bird down from this tree. I wasn't happy. By that time, it was already, I stood out there for an hour and a half, and, maybe 2 hours. I knew I had to get back to my mom. I didn't grab the phone so I could call her. So, and it was getting dark. And I know that the bird does not fly into dark places, and he does not like the dark. So, unless there's lights and it's fully lighted, he don't go, So I knew it was stupid to stand out there in the dark. He wasn't coming down, so I went home. And anyway, fast forward, after getting my mom ready to go to bed, got her in bed, did all the things. We felt bad. We cried. I sat down here and I was like Shenandoah. And for those of you who don't know, she's my dominant God. I'm like, please help me get this bird back in the morning. Please help me. And I got to know. And I was like, what? No? How dare you say no to me? You have to help me. No. And I was like, well, really? Well, what the F? So, I sat down here and I, was like pissed again. And and then I was shown in my mind like a little snippet that, it was the anger and the being overwhelmed with everything and the being mad that there's no help and, just all of it, it was just all like a whirlwind, caused me to not be paying attention to what was important, what was, this bird, and then I sat down here and so I was like, oh, it was me. I did this. I have to take responsibility for this. And, what do I do, to stop, being so angry about what other people say or how other people act or what other people do. Why am I directing, really, what is the reason why that I get so mad about her choices or for that part, anybody's choices that I don't agree with or that I don't think makes sense or is not the way I would do it, right? And that's what the problem was. The problem is that she, for me, the choices she makes are just making her life more difficult. And, I can work around that. I always have. But it makes me mad that she would make these choices that just make her life more difficult and makes more work for me, frankly, but that's beside the point. It's, that anger in judging or in, criticizing in my mind, those choices that make no sense to me, caused me to lose, to let that bird fly off in the cold. It was cold and rainy that night. And he had to spend the night all alone in a tree by himself. The only saving grace to that was that I knew that many birds don't fly at night. I have never seen any of the hawks around here fly at night, so I have noticed them settle in to places when the sun is halfway down at twilight. Let's say that. I've seen that outside. So I knew that if I got out there early enough, I had a chance of going back to that tree and getting him down. So, anyway, obviously I got the bird back, but I had been driving around. Hold on a minute. So many of these blocks around here, I knew he wasn't far. And so anyway, I was driving around and just when I was starting to doubt, because I had asked in the morning, I said, can you help me now that I see what I did and what the issue is? The answer was yes. So I got out there and I started driving around very slowly with my emergency lights on, hanging out the window, yelling to him because he answers me back, which is how I found him. Anyway, I had to pee. I drove around, and, weaving. And in my mind, I was like starting to doubt. I was like, you're not going to help me, are you? Oh my God, where's this bird? I got to find this bird. And I had to pee. And so you're like, there's too many people around. You can't pee in the alley. So I was coming home to pee and then I was going to go back out. And something told me, when I came out of the house real quick, something told me, call him. And so I called him. And there he was in the big, huge oak tree. And let me just say, this tree is huge. It was big when I was a child, which is 50, you know, gonna be 58 years ago when I was a kid, where I could remember that tree. So 6, 5, 6, that tree was already pretty big, and it's just enormous now. And the bird was way up. I was like, oh my God. You know, I mean, we had a guy with a cherry picker come and work with the Village of Oak Lawn so that I could get up in that cherry picker and get that bird down. But he flew on my head. And, you know, and so I was ever so grateful. And so since that, and I thanked the universe and everybody in my team and the angels and Joshua and God and everybody. I thanked everybody. Thank you for letting me have the, you know, helping me get my bird back. You know, I think the bird is a little more smart than I even thought, because, you know, he was not anywhere near this block, and here he is on the tree across the street, as if to say, or maybe he did say, it's about freaking time you came outside and found me. You know, I'm been right here. Come on. So that's amazing. Even my mom said that's a miracle. But since then, you know, we had a palliative care analysis, and you know, it was decided that she does need the beginning of palliative care. You know, that means a hospital bed, and they were discussing, you know, do I want to get the electrical kind because Medicare only gives the crane kind, and what about an air mattress? And I said, yes, we'll take the upgrade. I definitely wanted to have an air. And then, care during the day, help with care during the day, a few days a week to start with, and, you know, more physical therapy because it is helping her, you know, to some extent. And she said no to everything. No, I don't want none of it. They were going to get a lift in here so that I could, you know, lift her and put her down on the commode and get her into the bathroom easier. Nope, won't have none of that. She's convinced that she's going to walk. She's convinced that she's going to get better. And, you know, at first I was like, what? You know, I started for a second to feel that anger and that rage, like, how dare you, you know, make this decision? And then I thought, okay. My first thought was to get the F out of here. If she wants to live her life like, you know, that, then, you know, I mean, let her. And, you know, and they said, hey, there's nothing we can do. She's in her right mind. You know, she is very much on earth, and, you know, however you want to look at that. You know, she's in denial, but it's, you know, she's in her right mind. She's making her own choices. And so my medical power of attorney means nothing as long as she's able to make her own decisions, which is fine. So, you know, she refused all of it. The hospital bed, the fact that she does spend, you know, some days up in the bed, that she could sit up and all that. Nope, won't have none of it. And so I just let it go. And they looked at me and they were like, we can reassess in a few months, and if there's changes, and, you know, we can start that now. But if she denies it, nothing we can do. Okay, end of story. I spent all that time and all that energy fighting to find somebody that would help her and me. And I finally found it in Mobile Med at Little Company and Mary and all those wonderful people, God bless them, who are trying to help me. And she puts it, and I was like, wow. So after they left, I sat down here and I thought, what do I care? What do I care? And why am I getting mad about her choice for her life? That's hers. I have no right, really, to try to sway her to the way that I would do it, because that's her. And so, you know, this whole thing, this whole losing the bird, the whole reason for being here, you know, I think, yes, it was about forgiving her for her past transgressions. Yes, I think it was for me to learn how to forgive and move on. You never forget it. It's always gonna, be there. But you can choose to react to it or not react to it in a much more positive way rather than living in the rage. And I was very much living in rage. And while sitting down here that night when the bird was out on the tree and just crying and crying and begging and begging, I also realized, believe it or not, how much I love this little crazy bird with his messes and his throwing shit on the floor all the time and ripping stuff up and stealing pills and my teeth again. I just love this crazy little bird. And, it was just heartbreaking. And so I found him and he came home. I'm standing out there. He had flown down to neighboring trees, and each time he was becoming lower and lower. And so he was to a point in a tree, three trees over, where he wasn't that far from me, but he was on a branch where I couldn't get a ladder. So I had his stand. He has a stand, a wood stand upstairs, and it's pretty tall. I built onto it. And so I was holding it up, and he was probably that much from the stand. And I thought, he'll fly on the stand. And the stand, I had corn and crystals, all his favorites. And I'm saying, come on, baby, come on, baby. And he's chirping and chirping and chirping, and mama, mama, mama. Which him talking was attracting people. And I'm like, could you back off? Because he's scared of people. Appreciate you wanting to help, but, And so here he just flew on my ponytail. I couldn't believe. I was like, oh, thank you. And in that moment, there was like, never will I doubt the powers that be again. Never. I will never doubt. I know I've said that before. This solidifies it. Never will I doubt. And so I don't doubt, and I just know stuff. I know that, as other people have said before, judgment. Even though you don't think you're judging, and you think you're being very tolerant of, like the neighbors next door that are really nasty and messy and, just don't take care of their property very well. I just, I don't even care anymore. I care, but, that's their choice. That's the way they want to live their life. And so just don't look over there. Try not to look, Same with my mother. She was complaining yesterday about, she went through physical therapy and her, they had her walking and she was doing well. And by the time they left, she's like, okay, well, let's go downstairs, which she had a bad morning. And I said, okay, let's go downstairs. And so I said, before I go through all the work of getting you all dressed and you take 2 steps or not even, and you decide to go back to bed and I got to take it all up. Let's take a couple of steps, let's take a couple of steps to make sure that you can, get to that point where I can get that chair underneath you. She couldn't do it. And she said, yeah, maybe I better stay in bed. Well, that was around 3 o'clock or so, because by the time the physical therapist came, we gave pills, we washed face, we did all that stuff. It was time for the therapist to come, and then it was 3 o'clock. About 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, she says, this, I'm laying here and I feel like I'm in a coffin. This bed is just awful uncomfortable. I'm just laying here flat on these 2 pillows and they feel like rocks. And, and I said, I just sat there, I just stood there. I was like, do you want to get up? What do you want? And, she was like, aren't you going to try to do anything to help me? And I said, no, because you told those ladies that you didn't want an adjustable bed. You didn't want a nice brand new air mattress that will adjust to your weight and keep you nice and comfy. You made the choice. So complain to yourself all you want, but your choice was to not have those things. And so nothing I can do. You have to live with your choices, and I'm not going to let it affect me. Now, do you want to get up? What do you want? You know, and she had to really think about that. She thought about that. She was like, you know, I'm not going to take responsibility for your choices either. You know, don't make a choice and then complain to me about making your choice better when that's your choice. So now you have to choose to make your own life better, or I'm going down to finish the laundry. And it was so amazingly freeing. So amazingly freeing. I was like, I do not have to be affected anymore by other people's choices. Now, if you ask me to help you, I will. And then I'm not going to get mad on top of it if they don't take my suggestion. That's your choice. I'm going to be like the universe, as you wish. That's it, just as you wish. And the only thing that I am going to be responsible for is, you know, for choices wise, is my choices. And, you know, if I'm going to be tolerant and accepting of other people's choices and just let it go, because it's not my choice and it don't matter. Does it really affect my life? As far as my mom's concerned, it does. But I'm used to the work anyway. And to be really honest with you, I got some serious muscles. I mean, look at this. Yeah, so that's good. From lifting her. So that's not really when I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore. If she decides when I can't do it anymore, that she will not accept any, you know, help as far as lifts and stuff are concerned, that's her choice. Then she has to go in the nursing home. And I cannot allow that to hurt my soul. If I cannot physically take care of her anymore, then that's what's going to have to happen. And she's going to have to live with that because that's her choice. And there has to be a separation at that point. And, you know, I told her that yesterday. So I'm not going to get mad at you. I'm just going to let you know that it's starting to affect my body taking care of you. I'm going to be 58 at the end of May. At the point where the pain, you know, I can't get rid of the back pain by hanging upside down on the immersion table, is the point where you have to make that decision on whether you're going to allow some equipment in here to help lift you up and get you out of that bed. Or, and if you choose not to, then you're going to have to go in a nursing home. And I'm not going to feel bad about that because that's your choice. And you're not going to guilt me because I won't accept the guilt because your choices are on you. And that's very freeing. And, you know, let's just say that getting ready for bed last night was very quiet because I believe she knows that I now have that line. You know, I will, you know, I'm not, you know, I'm not going to try to blur that line. Your choices are your choices, and my choices are my choices. My life is mine. Your life is yours. I mean, you know, and bringing myself into your choices and your drama is just not benefiting me in any way. And so why am I allowing it to happen? I shouldn't. I mean, there are people out here that make livings talking about other people. And people actually let other people's choices affect them, like celebrities or ball players or, you know, I mean, there's literally whole shows about what this one said or that one said or that choice or this choice. And do you believe it? Oh, my God. And why? Who cares? Live and let live. You know, is just as long as your choice doesn't harm me in any way, what do I care? And that's, you know, and I was like, wow, that's really amazingly freeing. It really is. So I just thought I would share that, you know, big, huge lesson. And that's like one of the things that I've done my whole life is like, you know, try to figure out why other people do what they do. Why? Who cares? I mean, observe it and be like, wow, that's interesting, and move on. So, all right, well, y'all have a good Friday. Whoop, whoop, it's Friday. All right, bye.